The first spoilers have been hit for Commander Masters, and we're seeing a lot of really cool cards and a lot of good stables, but will it be enough to warrant those high prices? Let's get into it. Looking extremely cool, extremely fun, and the idea of drafting a commander deck is really something that I would love to do, but the price, I have to admit, is deterring me from it, and that's why we settled on the collector box and one of the commander decks that Jens would actually love to play.
There is a lot of great cards, and if you compare Commander Masters with Double Masters 2022, we are actually skewed a little towards Commander Masters because it looks a little better at this point at least. What's also really good about Commander Masters is that from a player's perspective at least, they have done some really deep cuts. They are going to reprint some cards that haven't either been reprinted or has not been reprinted in around 20 years. And some of these cards look great because, yeah, well, let's just look at those, shall we? The most notable reprint is of course the Capture of Xingqiu. This card is all the way back from Portal 3 Kingdoms and it has never been reprinted before. So that is a really nice card. And right now the price point is absolutely insane. But remember, the price point is only insane because this is a card that has been really scarce and hard to get and it has not been reprinted before. In reality, it's just a Time Warp, and Time Warp is around $10 to $15. Another great reprint never reprinted before is Bribery. Or it has actually been reprinted, I think it was in 8th edition or so, but Bribery, it goes way back, all the way back to Mercadian Masks, and it's a great playable card, so I'm looking really much forward to that. And speaking of great playable cards, we're also going to see the Medallion Cycle come back. Last time we saw the Medallion Cycle was actually in Commander 14, so it is way back, and before that it was only printed in Tempest, so it's long due for a reprint and we're finally getting it, and we're going to get it also if you're lucky enough, and if you're buying, of course, collector edition, you can get it in edged foil. The final card we need to mention is of course Finale of Devastation. This card has never been printed before, it is a really expensive card and it's a banger card. It's going to be great to see all these nice reprints, but there are also some cards that we are not so happy to see already printed again.
So Jens just told you of some of the cards that we are really happy to see again for Commander Masters because they needed a reprint either due to price or because of the scarcity. But unfortunately we also do have a lot of very bulky, janky rares that we saw reprinted latest in Double Masters 2022, and we didn't need to see these cards already again. I'm going to pull some of them up on the screen for you now. These cards are either not really needed as a reprint because they're already very cheap and very accessible, so we really would have preferred something else be put into Commander Masters, which is a premium price product. But we also have some pretty fairly priced cards that are really good that are getting another reprint that didn't need one. We saw Urza, Lord High Artificer in Dominaria Remastered, and he's already getting a reprint this time around in Commander Masters. That probably wasn't necessary. We're also going to see another reprint of Smothering Tides, which is a really cool card, and I think it's very great, but we actually did get a pretty substantial reprint in Double Masters 2022 and in multiple variants, so I'm not sure that they needed to print this specific card yet again.
We've made some pretty deep calculations into the value in Commander Masters, and we're going to show you the value in a moment. But before we go into that, there's a little caveat that we need to address, and that is of course that right now a rare land cycle has not been spoiled, and a rare land cycle can be really important into how much the set is actually going to be worth. Our best guess was that we're going to see the allied fetch lands. We still might, it is not absolutely ruled out, and Wizards could just, save the best for last. But we might also see some other form of rare land cycle. MF Doom on our channel suggested that we might see the Triumphs again, and that seems also to be really likely that the Triumphs could be the rare land cycle for Commander Masters. So of course, allied fetch lands versus Triumphs, that is going to affect the value a great deal.
If you're getting any value out of this video, please hit the like button and consider smashing the subscribe button. It really helps out the channel, and if you want to support just a little extra, you can also become a YouTube channel member for under $3 a month.
We looked at the spoilers and we did some calculations. We took the 40 most valuable cards in Commander Masters spoiled so far, and we made an average value out of these 40 cards. If you include the Capture of Xingqiu, which is a really valuable card, and that card might not, and I don't expect it to be in every box, because that might just be the chase card of Commander Masters. But if you include that and do the calculations with the 40 most valuable cards, you're going to end up with an average value of 28 euros per card. And that seems kind of high. If you exclude the capture of Yingshu, you're going to end up with an average value of 23.5 euros per card. So, if you only look at it this way, the value might actually just be there. But how many of these cards do you need to pull to break even? We have also made some calculations of that.
So, in order for you to follow these calculations that Jens is going to bring you in just a moment, you need to know what the composition of each pack is. So we're going to start with the draft pack. The draft pack is your most common pack. You can use it for draft, hence the name. But it's also there where you're probably not going to get a lot of different variants, and it's going to be the least rares per pack. So this is the draft pack. Then we have our set pack. The set pack is a little bit of a, gamble pack, because you can get a lot of really great cards and a very high amount of rares and above, but you can also just luck out and then you don't really get much more than you would do in a draft pack. And you can't draft with it because the composition is not made for the draft format. Then, last but not least, we have the collector pack. The collector pack is extremely highly priced. There are only going to be 4 in the collector booster, and the composition skews towards lots of foils, lots of variants, and lots of cool stuff. But you might still just pull one of those really dark mythics, and then the collector pack won't be worth a lot. So this was the composition, and now we get into the calculations to see just what you need to pull in order to get your money's worth.
A draft box is going to net you between 48 to 96 rares. Out of these rares, in order to break even, that is, 10.5 of these needs to be hits. Yeah, 10.5, such is math, right? So that means that around 10 to 20% of all the cards you pull, all the rares or mythics you pull in a draft box needs to be hits. If they are not, you might not break even. So those are the numbers for the draft. A set box is a bit more expensive, and therefore you need to have a bit more hits in order to break even. But a set box also comes with a higher number of rares, because a set pack can contain between 2 to 6 rares or mythics. So that means that you are going to have a larger average before you're breaking even. So between 9 to 28% of all the cards you pull in your set box should be hits. And that means that you're going to need around 13.4 hits in order to break even. The last box is of course the collector box. You're only going to get 4 packs. And in these 4 packs, there's going to be 5 rares to mythics in every pack. That means that you're going to get 20 mythic or rare cards, guaranteed. In order to break even, you need 8 hits. That means that 40% of all the cards you pull in a collector box needs to be hits. In our last video, we said that we're actually going for a collector box. But right now, it seems that the collector box could actually be the worst off of all these boxes. But of course, this is not taking into consideration textured foil, edged foil, special variants, whatever. So you need to be aware of that. And of course, the special variants and the textured foil only comes in the collector box, and that must also mean that if you're going to get a hit and it's going to be textured, that might just bring in all the bacon for your box. That was it with the value. As we said in our last video, we said that the commander decks and the collector boxes might just be the best buys, but according to the numbers, the draft box actually seems also kinda like a good buy, because 10 to 20% of all the cards just needs to be hits, and then you might break even. That is a good average. I think that every 10th to 20th card that you pull from a draft box, if that's a hit, you might just break even. So I think the value really just might be here. We're going to see some great cards, we're going to see some strong cards, and right now these cards are pricey and valuable.
So to counter that, I would also say that yes, they are valuable right now, and usually the pre-sale prices makes it look like you are really going to get a lot of money and value from your box. But as we all know, as soon as we pass from pre-sales onto the release date, the prices just tank. And if you look at the last couple of Master sets, prices have tanked quite a bit, especially Double Masters 2022, which was a ball to open. It was a lot of fun, a really good product, but the prices are still very low on those cards that were printed in that set, and the boxes are still for sale because it seems like there was quite a big print run. So I would have to counter argue that you still need to think about, am I getting enough value and am I getting enough playability and fun out of these boxes to warrant the prices, because the prices are very high. We are around 300, as far as I remember, US dollars for a draft. So you need to make sure that you maybe both drafted, have a lot of fun, and then see what is the value and the play experience worth to me, because it is a very expensive box. And the prices for those singles will surely drop in about 30 days post-release.
Yeah, and that is a really good point, because the calculations we have made was made with the highest average price of 28 euros per card. But as I also said, if you exclude the capture of Xingsu from these calculations, you are down to 23.5 euros. And if you also exclude the Jewel Lotus, because that might not just be in every pack also, or in every box, sorry, then the average becomes even lower. And of course, the lower average, the more hit cards you need to pull. And that also means that those 10 to 20%, for instance, for the draft box, well, that number is going to be a lot higher. So remember that prices will drop, and remember that this is an average we have been doing with the calculations, and this average is a little skewed because we're having we are going to have 2 chase cards, and these chase cards are really valuable. The other cards in the set might not have so much value.
Especially if you think about this in a very pragmatic way. Think about the last Master set you opened, for example, the Double Masters draft box. How many of those cards are worth above that $23.5 per card right now? Not a lot of them. And I'm pretty sure the same will go for Commander Masters. I think the product is looking extremely cool, extremely fun, and the idea of drafting Commander deck is really something that I would love to do. But the price, I have to admit, is deterring me from it, and that's why we settled on the collector box and one of the Commander decks that Jens would actually love to play, because I'm not sure it's going to be worth it in the end, and I might just go out and buy some singles instead and be sure that I get the cards I want.
Yeah, remember that point, that if you're just looking for the cards, wait 30 to 60 days and just buy the singles. You're going to get them for the best price if you do that.
Thank you so much to our YouTube channel members. Your efforts in supporting us is really important to us, and it makes sure that we can continue to make videos like this one. We really appreciate you, and thank you for the support.
And if you want to know all about our takes on what we are going to do with Commander Masters, you can watch this video. And that was it for our value into Commander Masters thorough look. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we are hoping to see you next time. And don't forget to leave a like, a comment, or even consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you for watching.